Okay, so imagine this for a second, right? You're a doctor, but they've got this AI by their side, and it's like, read every medical journal ever. Or picture software, but it's so smart it can basically write itself. Wild stuff, right?
Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It really does. But that's the future. Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, sees coming at us. And he's saying it's going to be here way sooner than we think. So we're doing a deep dive today on a recent interview with him where he lays out this whole AI-powered future.
Okay, so what's Schmidt saying?
Well, he's highlighting these three huge advancements in AI. And get this, they're evolving at an insane pace. We're talking new models coming out every single year.
Every year. Wow. And these are like big leaps forward, not just small tweaks.
Exactly. They could completely change everything. I mean, this isn't some far-off thing. It's happening right now. That's why we got to understand what's up.
I'm with you. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around sometimes with how fast it's all moving. Definitely makes you think about how we adapt.
You're telling me. Okay, so one of the biggest game changers Schmidt's talking about is this thing called infinite context windows.
Infinite context windows. All right, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
Yeah, I hear you. It sounds super sci-fi, but stick with me. Basically, it's like giving AI unlimited memory. Think about it. What if you had a conversation with someone who remembered every single thing you'd ever said to them, like down to the last detail?
That's a lot of information to process.
For real. But that's what infinite context windows let AI do. And it's not just remembering, it's about actually understanding all of that information.
Okay, so it's not just a giant hard drive in their head. They can actually use all of that past info.
Precisely. And when you've got that kind of memory, AI can start to analyze and make connections on a whole different level. We're talking about possibilities in scientific research that are mind-blowing.
Give me an example. What could this actually look like in action?
Okay, imagine AI coming up with crazy complex solutions to problems we haven't even solved yet. Think like a 1,000-step recipe for a brand new drug, or maybe a strategy to actually combat climate change.
It'd be like having an army of super geniuses working around the clock, all focused on solving these massive problems.
Exactly. And this is just scratching the surface. Schmidt also gets into this whole other fascinating and maybe a little scary world of AI agents.
AI agents. Okay, now I'm really curious. Lay that one on me.
All right, so think of AI agents, like specialized AIs. They're like the experts in their field, but they've got this deep well of knowledge in one specific area.
Okay, so like an AI that's just laser focused on, say, astrophysics or something.
Totally. And it's not just book smarts either.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI that's read every single chemistry textbook ever, but then it's also formed its own hypotheses, run experiments in a lab, the whole 9 yards, and it's added all that hands-on experience to its skill set.
So it's like having, like, the world's leading expert on any given topic just a click away. That's kind of incredible when you think about it.
It's wild, right? All right, so now picture all these brilliant AI agents, each with their own specialty, working together. What could they achieve?
A global network of, like, super intelligent collaborators. The possibilities there have got to be limitless.
It's exciting, but I have to admit, this level of AI is also a little intimidating. Like, are we sure we're ready for this?
It's definitely a double-edged sword, and that's something Schmidt points out too. He even suggests these AI agents might get so advanced they create their own language.
Their own language?
Yeah, one that's so complex and nuanced, we humans can't even understand it anymore.
Hold on. So we might reach a point where we literally can't understand what our own creations are talking about.
It's a question a lot of people are asking, and it's where Schmidt's pull-the-plug idea comes in.
Pull the plug. Wait, you mean like actually shutting down these AI systems if they get too smart?
Exactly.
So we're basically talking about creating something we might not even be able to control. That's a little unnerving, to say the least.
Yeah, and that whole control thing, or like the potential to lose it, seems to be a big worry with AI in general.
For sure. And figuring out how to regulate a technology this powerful, this fast-moving, it's got to be one of the biggest challenges we face today.
It really is. I mean, traditional regulations, they just might not be able to keep up with how quickly AI is advancing.
Yeah, it's like trying to catch lightning in a bottle or something.
Yeah.
So what are we supposed to do? How do you even regulate something that seems almost impossible to regulate?
Well, Schmidt throws out this pretty radical idea, AI policing AI.
AI policing AI. So Like robots putting other robots in timeout.
Kind of. More like we design specific AI systems whose whole job is to watch other AI.
Like digital hall monitors for AI.
Exactly. They'd be trained to spot any shady or risky moves other AI systems might make.
Okay, so we're talking about creating a whole new kind of AI just to babysit the other AIs. But who's watching the babysitter?
Million-dollar
Yeah.
question, right? And it shows how complicated this whole thing is. But here's the thing, this isn't some far-off problem. We're dealing with real-world AI issues already, especially with misinformation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Fake news articles, those deepfake videos, it's getting tougher to tell what's real online.
Right, and that's with the AI we have now. If we can't even get a handle on AI-generated misinformation, how can we expect to handle the even more powerful, more complex AI that's on the way? It's a question a lot of us in the field are wrestling with.
It's a little scary when you put it like that. But switching gears for a sec, Schmidt also talks about China's role in all of this and how they're approaching AI development.
Right, and this is where geopolitics comes into play. Schmidt's a little concerned about the implications of how China's doing things with AI, especially with their views on free speech and access to information.
Because AI feeds on data,
Right.
right? The more they have, the more they learn.
Exactly. For AI to really reach its potential, it needs to be able to explore a ton of different ideas and perspectives. It needs diverse data. But that can be tricky with a country like China, where they have stricter controls on information and censorship.
It's a tough situation to navigate. We want to encourage AI innovation, but then there are these ethical questions about how it might be used to control information or stifle dissent. It's a tricky balance for sure. And speaking of tricky, Schmidt makes this comparison to the Cold War when he's talking about global AI development. He seems to want more transparency between countries, when it comes to their AI capabilities.
It's like almost like that idea of mutually assured destruction, but instead of nukes, it's about making sure we don't end up in some kind of AI arms race. Schmidt calls it a no surprises policy, where countries are upfront about their AI, what they're working on, so no one gets the wrong idea or things escalate unintentionally.
So less about stockpiling weapons, more about being open about who's got the smartest algorithms. It's a whole new world order, right, with AI right there in the middle of it.
Yeah, and the stakes are huge. Schmidt even brings up the possibility of AI controlling weapons systems down the line, which is, well, a little terrifying to think about. Even a tiny mistake could be catastrophic.
Definitely not a comforting thought. But it does make all these conversations that much more important. We can't just ignore it and hope for the best. We've got to be involved in shaping how AI develops, both personally and as a global community.
Couldn't agree more. And the best thing we can do is stay informed, learn as much as we can about what AI can do, the good and the bad, so we can make smart choices about how it's developed and used.
Knowledge is power, after all. Speaking of power, Schmidt also talks about who actually controls this technology in the end.
He makes the point that real AI power, like dominating power, might end up in the hands of just a few, the ones who have the massive computing power and resources it takes to build and train these advanced AIs.
So not just governments, but also these big tech companies with resources that could rival entire nations. Makes you wonder, in a future where AI is calling more of the shots, who's really in charge? And how do we make sure that power is used for good?
Big questions, and ones we got to be asking right now. Because the future of AI, it's not set in stone. It's something we all have a hand in shaping.
It's got amazing potential, but we've got to be careful and engaged. If there's one thing to take away from this deep dive into Eric Schmidt's thoughts, it's that the time to be having these conversations is right now, before it's too late, before someone else makes those decisions about the future of AI for us. So keep those questions coming, stay curious, and whatever you do, don't stop exploring the world of AI because it's changing every single day.